and work by sworn officers and moving some of those officers to taking calls out on the street. And I was wondering where we are with that, and approximately how many officers you think you might be able to move to outside jobs to taking calls for service?
Sure. Mr. President and Councilor Gibson, I think it's important for you to know that right now we have a total of 677 patrol officers. Of that 677, 404 are currently in the field. We plan on bidding 412 to the field, which is a number larger than we did last year. When you talk about who's on the inside, our numbers actually reflect that we have about 273 detectives. Those detectives primarily work in criminal investigations. We've done our best to make sure that we've taken those officers that were handling IT assignments. There we had other officers working at planning. We've also reduced all of those numbers. Last year, with the permission of the city, we reclassified our field criminal investigators to civilian positions, and those officers that were in those positions will also be moving to the field. We have to be careful and strike the right balance of making sure that we have adequate number of detectives to do our follow-up criminal investigations, and we will continue to look at those numbers. We meet with the union regularly, met with them today to talk about the bid, and we will continue to work with them through the bid process.
Councilor Gibson, go ahead.
So about how many more do you think that you'll be able to put out into the field?
Mr. President and Councilor Gibson, last year we bid 410 to the field, and this year we plan on bidding 421 to the field.
Councilor Gibson, go ahead.
And when will the next bid occur?
Our target, Mr. President and Councilor Gibson, we hope to have that bid done either in May or no later than June.
Thank you, Councilor Gibson. Thank you, Councilor Chief Eden. Councilor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess just following up on the previous question that Councilor Pena had regarding the recent report. I think the concern is as the people's representatives and seeing a report like that, and certainly I think giving the benefit of the doubt that there's intentions are well, intentions are where they should be, but agreeing with people that at times that reports like that can come across as canned reports and sometimes even outside of the constitutional openness that we are striving for. I guess is a question or the discussion would be if we're following DOJ media policies and we're under this agreement, so I guess we're deferring first and foremost to the DOJ and their recommendations and policies, and when there are questions about reports that would go to the media, whether it be social media, whatever, I mean, would these be questions now that would be given to the moderator? I mean, is this, and the other question being, are we under more stricter requirements or less transparent requirements when it comes to reports after incidences like this? And I guess I'd want to get your sense of that, Chief. Is it you feel like we're under a much more stringent type of requirements that might tend toward being less transparent than it would be more transparent because of this agreement? And would you say that the questions, I guess, of the public and us would at this point now be directed toward the moderators, the DOJ?
Mr. President and Councilor Lewis, I believe this was a unique situation. As soon as we became aware of the situation, we immediately notified the Department of Justice, the United States Attorney's Office, and the FBI. We asked them to conduct the investigation. The investigation is in their hands. We do not communicate with them as it pertains to the investigation. They have not provided us with any updates because it is our staff that's being investigated. They ask us to abide by their media policy, which we typically do in all federal cases. The settlement agreement requires us to notify the United States Department of Justice as soon as these allegations come forward. As a matter of fact, I believe the way the paragraph reads is, once we've investigated it, we felt so concerned, we notified them right away, and to have them handle the investigation. And I hope this never happens again, but if it does, we'll follow the same process outlined in the settlement agreement and make that immediate notification.
And in your opinion, where should criticism, I guess, of any reports that would come out to the media, where should criticism of that be directed to?
Mr. President and Councilor Lewis, we had directed the media to contact the Department of Justice. That's who they asked us to contact. We've made that very clear from the time we were made aware of the situation.
Mr. President, Councilor Lewis, speaking
Go ahead.
of DOJ, one of the comments was that what makes it different than a bank robbery or kidnapping, or an officer involved shooting involving federal agent. And I think last year we had 2 or 3 of those. And that is the way the Department of Justice and the FBI and the Secret Service, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the DEA, and the United States Attorney, and all the folks that are under that umbrella operate. And I think that the chief did point out that it's a case-by-case basis when you ask if it's capable of repetition. I think theoretically it is. I don't think it will be the norm, but when that's take a case, that's usually the way they take it.
Councilor Lewis? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I have something I just want to make sure that I understood. I applaud the use of social media. I think that's one of the ways that we can communicate. Whatever other ways is fine also. But will we be seeing lapel camera footage on YouTube? Do we know that? That's what clarified the last situation we had with Mr. Boyd. Nothing was said until it hit YouTube, and maybe that's an area that we need to look at. It's something I just wanted to ask. If there's no answer, that's fine too. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions of the councilors? Councilor Winter.
Thank you. Mr. President, I move approval of the April 6th journal.